I've been alone with you.
Claudia, we all suffer setbacks in our life, some small, some big. How do we get through those setbacks?
You're right, it does happen to everybody, and I don't think the setback is really the problem. I think the fact is that people first of all view it as punishment. That's a problem. That setbacks means that you are being punished for something that you've done, or that you've got bad luck, or you're being singled out, when in fact setbacks are, like all crises, really an opportunity for change, believe it or not. And when people are going through setbacks or crises, they always say, yes, well, it's very easy for you to say, but while you're going through it, it's so uncomfortable. How can we think it's an opportunity for change? But the truth is, we get so lodged into a comfortable space. And I say comfortable, I should really say familiar. And the only way that you sometimes will shift is if you get a little bit dislodged. And so, unfortunately, I think human nature is that we don't listen when things are going well, but we certainly listen when we get uncomfortable.
How important is it to make a fresh start after suffering a loss?
If you're going to think that you're going to start from scratch, as in I'm going to immigrate, everything's going to be brand new, I'm going to break up with this person and start completely, with an empty page. A, it's not possible, and B, I don't think you should want to, because there's a lot of aspects about yourself that you don't want to get rid of. So a fresh start really would be a fresh way of looking at things. If you have felt that you have a sense of always being a victim, or that things don't go your way, or it's not a good idea to share things with people on an emotional level, a fresh start would be to say, well, let me see what happens when I actually do the very thing that I've never thought I should do. That really is a fresh start, and it's a good idea, because as we get older we should be evolving. As we get older we should be changing our minds. So fresh as in changing your mind, that's a good idea.
So if change is good, why do we resist?
It's quite simple. We are familiar with the struggle that we've grown up with. If we are familiar with humiliation or familiar with abandonment, the actual letting go of what we're familiar with is experienced as a loss, believe it or not, and not a gain. So, for example, if you believe that people are not trustworthy and you start realizing that people actually can be trusted, you have to let go of years and years of justification that you were right and suddenly you're wrong. And that's why change, actually, we resist change. It's very hard to be wrong.
Can you recommend some tips for people who have suffered everyday setbacks?
I think, first of all, let's not take away the enormity of what people are going through, because people suffer losing children, which is, I don't think there's anything more horrific on a level for a parent to go through. People go through an enormous amount. However, if we remain very constant about our belief, it reminds us all the time that even though things happen to us, that we can be involved in an addiction, we can have a huge loss, we can have a trauma or a hijacking, lose enormous amounts of money, be betrayed in relationships. We have to remind ourselves that we are always in fact in charge and able to respond. Responsibility. When you know that you create your reality, you can feel encouraged at all times then to do something about it. A victim mentality is extremely destructive. Self-pity is one of probably the most poisonous and toxic emotions that people can experience, and it just drags people down into a certain place. And people do heal, and thank goodness we do heal, and people get over loss. And when we understand at the end of it what something was all about, we can see the big picture. So I think no matter how difficult the circumstances, try and remain connected with at least one person or a family or a community that can hold you during a difficult time until you can get your perspective back.